My name's Paul, welcome to Paul Perambulates. In this episode, I'm in the southwest of England, in Devon on Dartmoor, walking the route successfully completed by one of the scout teams I helped to train for 10 Tours 2023. My start point is Rowtor car park, postcode EX20-1QR, grid reference SX596392222, what 3 words, affords wrenching perusing. On day 1, I drop in on the 10 Tours start-finish line at Oakhampton Army Camp. I then turn southwards via Dinger Tor to Great Neset and then go southwest via Higher Tor, coming off the moor at Willsworthy. I turn southeastwards via Stand and Steps, climb back up onto the moor and go to White Barrow. I then go southwards to Little Mis Tor and then turn eastwards and via Homing Beam, Bear Down Tors and Longerford Tor go to Higher White Tor, where I camp for the night. On day 2, I go eastwards to Postbridge and then northeast to Water Hill. I go up the eastern side of Firmworthy Forest and around Firmworthy Reservoir to Kes Tor. I then take a generally westward direction via Watern and Wild Tors to Oakman Hill and then a generally northerly direction via Oak Tor back to Rowtor car park. Total distance 62.4 kilometres. Total height gain 1,885 metres. Total walking time 18 hours and 53 minutes. Here I am in Rowtor car park. Bit of a grimy old morning. Wouldn't be Dartmoor without a bit of moisture, but the forecast is much better for later, so fingers crossed. I wouldn't risk parking close to Oakhampton Army Camp. I don't imagine the army want you there. So Rowtor car park here is the nearest one. It's free, no gates, plenty of space, and it is the nearest one to the camp, which we can see on the hill just over there. I've dropped down to Oakhampton Camp now. It's a 10 Tours route, so this being the start and end point of 10 Tours has to be on it. In the time it's taken me to do that, clouds have rolled away, sun's come out. Anyone who's ever been to 10 Tours will very well know this view behind me, and we can see it really nicely now. This is Anthony's style. In the old days this was the finish line of 10 Tours. These days it goes through there, up into the field, under a big inflatable finish line. Here's that view, that's Rowtor, West Mill Tor and Yes Tor. That was a tough climb, but that and the improvement in the weather has given me rather a nice view of the North Devon countryside. Still climbing slightly and have now gone off the nice flat metal roads onto these stony tracks. Still drivable with a vehicle, probably a 4x4, still pretty good to walk on. Looking at Yes Tor from the other end now, and then just along the ridge from it, High Willhays, the highest point of the moor. Now I know Yes Tor looks higher, and it looks like that from wherever on the moor you're looking at it, but it's an optical illusion. This High Willhays is higher than this Yes Tor. Just behind me here, what I think is the neatest tor. This is Dinger Tor. It's got this lovely little flattish area of grass in front of it that looks a bit like a golf green. Wish I could get my lawn like that. Maybe I should get some sheep or something. Always looks lovely and tidy to me, all nice and regular, as though it was looked after by somebody. But it isn't. It just happens like this, naturally. Dinger is where this vehicle track runs out. Big grass turning circle here. And then once we walked across that, we're onto moorland proper. Not too bad walking here, quite nice firm grass, but it will get worse as we go. On the northern end of Great Mis Tor now, looking back at Dinger, where I've just come from. Just zooming out to the wider view with High White Tor, West Mill Tor. I'm heading from Great Mis Tor to Higher Tor now. The route takes me across a little saddle in a very boggy area, where a couple of rivers start heading down in opposite directions. As you can imagine, a lot of water collects there. Should be okay today because it's high summer. Certainly in the winter, impassable a lot of the time. But at any given time of year, it is the most likely route between the east and west parts of the northern moor to be passable. And that's why almost all the 10 Tors routes come this way. This is the kind of ground I'm talking about, so it's okay in the summer, just about support you. In the winter, I'm going thigh deep in that. It'll take you a little while to find a way across. I'm almost all the way over Amicum Hill now, heading towards the bottom of that track you can see, going up the hill opposite towards Higher Tor. There is some horrible ground down here. I've always found that if you can get reasonably close to one of these streams that runs down it, that you can hear there are quite firm banks that you can walk along. That said, easier said than done. Dartmoor feature that you need to know about here. There are a number of military firing ranges, particularly on the North Moor. So you want to make sure that you're not here when they're firing. You can find that out by typing Dartmoor Army firing, something like that, into Google, and it will give you the dates. Fortunately, they're not doing it today. Homing in on Higher Tor now, which is a twin tor with two tops, one of which has a flagpole on. The military would be hanging a red flag up there if they were firing today, but fortunately they're not. No fortune about it actually. I checked before I came. This is what we can see from Higher Tor. Looking at Rowtor here. Panning across. Tor, which has a stone cross on the top called Widgery Cross. Panning across again, Arms Tor, and then in the foreground, Sharp Tor, in the background, Great Links Tor, and then a little dot on the landscape further over, Chat Tor. I'm at Willsworthy on the western edge of the moor now, by the Army rifle ranges. I'm going to take a left turn here, but if I were to carry on down this road, I would meet the main road going down the west side of the moor. And there's a car park there, which is a very useful spot for starting or ending your Dartmoor walk, should you want to break this down and do part of it. It's free, quite a lot of space, no gates, so very useful. This is an interesting feature of Dartmoor. This is called a leat. Man-made channel to carry water from one place to another for a variety of purposes. This one's called Mine Leat, so I think we can tell what that was used for. We're off the moor now, but we can still see plenty of the moor. Great Links Tor, Sharp Tor, Higher Tor, where we just were. Every 10 Tors route comes this way, and the reason for that is this, the River Tavy. May not look too huge a river, but the right bank here is actually an island, and there's actually more of it over on the right hand side. This bridge is the only safe way across it anywhere near this part of the moor. So if you want to send teams around the western side of the moor, they have to come this way, and they all do. Just coming across now, and we can see the other half of the river. I've been walking along for a bit with the rather nice sound of rushing water in my right ear from the River Tavy. Makes a nice change from being up on the moor, but that's where I'm heading back to now. Getting back up onto the moor from here is not all fun. Now this concrete path might be nice and firm and level to walk on, but the gradient is huge and it is extremely tiring. And then after that, the gradient carries on and the actual walking becomes horrible, with loads of great big rocks strewn down this path. This is White Barrow, Iron Age burial mound, very useful navigation point. Panning around, we can see some of our later destinations, can just about make out the top of Holming Beam there with the trees. And then further round, Longford Tor and Higher White Tor, where we're hoping to get to at the very end of the day. I'm sitting on White Barrow now, after that huge great long climb back up onto the moor, and it's time for lunch. This is the River Walcombe, where it joins the encouragingly named Dead Lake, and this is a great example of a boulder crossing, basically where erosion has sent boulders cascading down the hill. They've fallen across the stream but not blocked it, so they make a useful place to hop across if you want to keep your feet out of the water. Personally, it's actually safer from my point of view to keep your feet in the water, so I won't be going that way. Just passing Great Mis now. Pictures won't do it justice really. There's a reason why it's called Great Mis. It is absolutely huge. Destination, Great Mis's little sister, Little Mis Tor, small but perfectly appointed. Heading down towards Homing Beam and Bear Down Tors. We're handrailing this super long, super straight fence. Looks nice and easy, but I have found it incredibly boggy in the middle here in the past. So we'll have to see how we go with it. As I suspected, absolute quagmire down in this dip here. I have got around it. Had to do some very careful treading in some extremely marshy ground, but I'm past it, which frankly is a real relief. If I'd had to go round it, I might have had to go all the way up that gully there. Well, if you thought the previous dip looked a bit marshy, this one I'm across it now, but I've just gone in up to my thighs basically. Lucky to keep the rucksack and all the stuff in my pockets out of it. And that was even going, what, 50 yards up to try and cross somewhere narrower. So yeah, you need to be careful here. I should have gone further up. But there we go, lesson learned. Got dry socks in the rucksack anyway, thankfully. Well, wet socks in summer I suppose, not too bad. Be much worse if it was winter. Here we go. Well, I've got to Homing Beam with no further mishaps. Coming down the other side now. Nice view of Bear Down Tors and Rowtor. Coming over the top of Bear Down Tors, I see my next destination, Little Tor on the right, and at the top on the left there, Higher White, my stop for the night. I'm at the weir under Little Tor now. Nice, easy, safe crossing place, but also good place to pick up water. The fast running stuff is the cleanest, so it'll be nice and easy to get here. Might be fast flowing and relatively clean, but we still don't trust it. Going to put some sterilisation tablets in it. And of course we use every available receptacle to get as much water as we can. You don't really want to have to go off looking for it after we've pitched camp. Now, I don't know if this clip will catch it, but see all the midges lit up by the late evening sunshine flying over the water. This is Wistman's Wood. It's an area of temperate forest of a type that isn't supposed to and generally doesn't grow in this country, but it grows here, although it struggles to grow. Not really close enough for you to see, but the branches are all gnarled and knotted and look like they've struggled to live. Must be some sort of separate climate down in the bottom of this valley that makes it work. It's very, very fragile, and people actually aren't allowed into it these days because it can be so easily damaged. Might be midsummer, not too early for the mushrooms. What a food supply this one's got. Arriving at Little Tor now. Only 13 minutes late on my schedule. Considering the day I've had, quite pleased with that. Just coming round the edge of Little Tor. There it is, home for the night, Higher White Tor. Quite pleased to see that. Just been looking for a wild camping spot. Found an absolutely perfect one in the lee of the wind. Loads of big rocks around it protecting it. Flat ground. Should be really, really good. Have to have a small clear up first, but nothing environmentally unfriendly. Camp's getting there. Tea's done. All good. Food time. Cheers. Up and about for day 2. Got the stove going, so soon going to have breakfast and coffee, and then all will be right with the world. That is where dawn should be this morning, but far too much cloud cover for a decent one, unfortunately. So no nice sunrise pictures today. What we do have over in the east though is some cloud lying in the valleys. I have to go that way later on, so let's hope that burns off. First coffee of the morning on a wild camp. Few things are as good. Oh yeah. I'm standing on the top of Higher White Tor. An absolutely excellent wild camping spot. Plenty of sheltered areas all around the top so that you can camp in the lee of whatever the prevailing wind happens to be. For a while, due to a court case, we weren't allowed to camp here, and instead we had to camp the other side of that wall. Fortunately, that ruling was overturned. For 10 Tor's purposes, however, we are still required to camp the other side of that wall, so that's where I've gone. But it's no great problem. There are plenty of good spots over there as well. Looking over to the west, I can see the latter part of yesterday's route. Nearest to us, Little Tor, then coming across the triple tops of Bear Down Tors, and then away in the distance, Great Mis Tor, with Rowtor nearer to us. This is where the tent was. As ever, no trace left, nothing moved. Over there, where I had the stove and all my cooking kit, again exactly as I found it. Further to yesterday's find, a veritable colony of mushrooms, again with an excellent food supply. Top of Higher White, now shrouded in cloud. Got a lot of low-lying cloud and it's very humid. I've been handrailing the wall that you can see coming down off Higher White, which has led me along to here. And I happen to know about this gate, so I don't have to do anything stupid like trying to climb over a dry stone wall with barbed wire by it. I'm at Post Bridge, and just behind me, the ancient monument that gives the village its name. An ancient stone clapper bridge, the largest and best preserved on the moor. And I'm going to walk over it now. Coming through Higher White now, just to the north of Post Bridge, heading up towards Water Hill. This part of the path here is allowed for Tentors training. However, it's private land, and I imagine that I'm probably not absolutely supposed to be here now. I would think, given that the landowner allows Tentors teams through, I'd probably turn a blind eye to a lone backpacker without a dog. But a large group of people, and especially people with a dog or dogs, then I think it would probably be a different story. There are sheep in these fields. Sheep and dogs don't mix, especially from the farmer's point of view. So bear that in mind if you're going to come this way. Ponies on my way up to Water Hill. Fabulous sight. They roam wild-ish on the moor, but every single one of them belongs to somebody. That hill up there is the marvellously named Assicum Hill, half covered by the southern end of Fernworthy Forest. We'll be going round the other side of the forest later on. For that, however, we need to go over there. That low dome of a hill, Water Hill, is our next destination. We're not going straight across there though, because the ground between here and there is horrendously boggy. So what we'll do is we'll skirt round that on paths to the north. Coming up to the top of Water Hill now, somewhere I don't get to come very often. It's not closed to the general public, but it is off limits during Tentors training because there's a lot of path erosion around here. So a good opportunity for me to come and have a look at it. Looking back across towards Higher White Tor and Bear Down Tors, swinging around, looking over Post Bridge. You can see Belliver Tor there. Great views all around to the south. Not so good as we get to the east, where there's still a lot of low cloud. Fortunately not here. Looking northward now, down the eastern side of Fernworthy Forest. We can see Watern and Wild Tors up on the hills. The big dome in the distance is Cosden Beacon. And the really prominent one standing proud on top of the hill there is Kes Tor, where I'm going later. I'm at Fernworthy car park, and here, something useful to know about, a fully functioning toilet. And here's Fernworthy Reservoir, generally a nice place for a stop, loads of picnic tables, good place for a rest. At one end of Fernworthy Reservoir, we've got the dam. Quite impressive from this side. More so from this side, as you walk round behind it, which you have to do to get past it because you can't walk across the top of it. When the level's high enough, water overtops the slanting wall in the middle, cascades down it, which can be quite spectacular. On this side, you get to walk around the edge of the reservoir with the water lapping at its sides. Quite soothing. Just coming up to Thornworthy Tor now on the way up to Kes, and I know I will get a good view from the top of this. One of the best things about it is the way it opens out as you get up on top of the Tor. Suddenly you can see for miles. Away to the west, Watern and Wild Tors, where I'm heading later. Panning round towards the south, across Fernworthy Forest, and the reservoir where I've come from. enjoying that visual treat. We're heading up the hill to Kes Tor. This is Kes Tor. Very impressive tor in a very impressive location. Perched on the top of a big hill, standing off the edge of the moor, aside from the others, as if to show that it's different and better. One of my favourites. This part of the route, Kes Tor to Watern Tor, is largely about walls. Once you get by the end of Fernworthy, this long wall that's on my left at the moment curves round towards Watern, and then you can see on the other side there, diagonal wall going up and then turning into a wall that goes straight up the hill to Watern Tor. So basically, if you just follow the walls, you'll be okay. At the bottom of the hill, the wall turns into this. This is called Manga Rails. It's a certified safe crossing for 10 tours, although what it really is a cattle fence. Watern Tor. In my view, the most aesthetically pleasing of them all. Lined up along the ridge, sculpted by the elements over thousands of years. Here we are at Wild Tor. It may not be as beautiful as Watern, but I'm very, very glad to see it, because I'm starting to tire and it's one closer to home. Heading down into the dip before going up Oakmont Hill. One of my favourite fords, always nice and easy. Just plough on with this one. Don't bother trying to stand on the stepping stones. I'm doing my summary from inside the car at Rowtor car park for two reasons. Number one, it's been a very windy day on the moor and it's just getting windier and the sound would have been horrific anywhere else. And number two, phone, camera and power bank all as flat as pancakes. So the only charge I've got anywhere is the car battery, which is what I'm running the phone off now. The latter is a good analogy for me. I'm as flat as a pancake as well. That walk took absolutely every ounce that I had to complete it. Difficulty wise, I'll give it a 9. It is such a tough challenge, 10 tours. I don't know how the kids do it, and I really don't know how the 45ers and 55ers do it. You don't have to do all that walk, obviously. You can split it down. You can do it in bits, go and explore some of the places that I've been. If you are looking for a really good fitness workout, I'd recommend that as a weekend, but make sure that you're fit enough to do it in the first place. All maps and 3D fly-throughs provided by kind permission of Ordnance Survey through their excellent OS Online application. Big thanks also for all music used in this video to mixkit.co, tunetank.com and the YouTube audio library. These videos are designed to show you around the routes I walk in case you're considering doing them yourself. They are not designed to be any kind of hill walking training or guidance. If you need hill walking skills, obtain them in person from a reputable, qualified provider. Please don't attempt these walks without appropriate levels of fitness and equipment. If you don't have the required levels of knowledge and experience, only undertake them accompanied by somebody who does. You can find out more about me and my background and experience at my website, paulperambulates.co.uk. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Paul Perambulates. If you did, please subscribe and share.